So first of all, there's several ways to participate with Connect, and we're gonna go through them right here. First things first, you can register for a free account and get access to Blockchain Academy, which is incredible. Blockchain Academy is a program that allows you to truly go from knowing nothing about blockchain or crypto or the entire space and really getting an incredible education. And what you'll find is it's not even about Connect specifically, it's about blockchain. It really is what the title suggests, Blockchain Academy. And at the time of this recording, we have the 100 series available as well as the 200 series. The 100 series is incredible, basic, fundamental blockchain knowledge. The 200 series is more advanced. And as you go through that, you're gonna find that you can really go from knowing nothing to becoming an expert or close to it just there in Academy. So you get your free account and you can start there. Now, the second way to participate is you can purchase light nodes. And light nodes are an inexpensive start to earning mining rewards, which is really awesome. In fact, at the date of this recording, that's as inexpensive as $25 for a light node. And so that is a tremendous, inexpensive way to get started participating with some blockchain projects, okay? And then number 3, you can see here, is purchase a smart node. And that increases your mining potential there, okay? And so that is a fun one. And I know that's where most people kind of want to get started, but everyone has different desires and different budgets, of course, as well. And so whatever fits your desires and your budgets is the perfect place for you to get started. And then the last one, and this is completely optional. Sometimes people ask me if it's optional or not. It is. You never have to do this. But to me, it's a very exciting option, which is you can earn referral rewards by actually sharing Connect with others who join Connect and make purchases, okay? So it's pretty cool. You know, anyone who's excited about blockchain, they tend to talk about it and share it anyway. And in the vast majority of places, you don't get any reward for doing so beyond just maybe the added adoption of whatever that particular blockchain project is. But here with Connect, you actually have the potential to earn rewards simply for sharing a project that you're passionate about, which is really an incredible concept. And that's what I'm gonna dive into right now, is what those rewards will look like, okay? And so, first things first, you have to understand the WIN blockchain. Because once the WIN blockchain is live, that is going to be the entire system that fuels this rewards plan, okay? And it's an incredibly unique blockchain. It is the first blockchain project ever to tether the actions of an individual with the actual proof system of the blockchain. And that's where you get proof of action, is when those two things are tethered together. You can't have one without the other, okay? So the actions of the individual combined with the proof system of the blockchain itself is what gives you that proof of action and therefore leads to rewards generated based on actions taken, okay? In fact, you can see right here, the WIN Smart Node is the first to tether the actions of an individual to blockchain node software. It's an incredible concept when you really understand it, and that's what makes every bit of this possible. So as we look at the expansion of the WIN blockchain, how does that work, okay? Well, every time someone activates a WIN node, that creates a block on the WIN blockchain. Okay, so as soon as this blockchain is live, every time someone activates a WIN node, that will add a new block on the blockchain in sequential order forever, as long as WIN nodes are being activated on the blockchain, okay? And so then there's an important component here you need to understand. There's 2 chains that are really coming into play. We have the main chain and the friend chain. So what's the difference here? Well, let me explain. The main chain is really what I just described to you on this slide here, okay? It is every node ever activated on the WIN blockchain in sequential order. The friend chain is the blue line that you see here, and that is everyone that you ever invite to be a part of Connect that then activates a WIN node on the WIN blockchain, okay? And everyone they invite who does the same thing, and so on and so forth. So you have the main chain, that's every WIN node ever activated, and then you have the friend chain, that's every WIN node you invite who activates, and so on and so forth. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And that's gonna come back around in a minute, and we're gonna talk about that just a little bit more. Now, we're talking about earning rewards. We're talking about, sharing blockchain and being incentivized to do so, which is such a cool concept. But how do you maximize those rewards? Because again, this is optional, but most people I've talked to about this, they want to learn how they can maximize these rewards and really get the most out of it. And the way you do that is you become an influencer within Connect, okay? I sometimes say influencer is kind of when you get the keys to the kingdom. That's when it really unlocks and it kind of opens up all potential rewards to you, okay? And so the way you do that is, first of all, you purchase, activate, and operate a Win Smart Node. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then you sell 5 Win Smart Nodes. So those are people who you invite to join Connect, and then they purchase a Win Smart Node and activate it, okay? And so that right there is how you become an influencer. Pretty simple. And sometimes people ask me, and so I'll just go ahead and clarify. They say, do those have to be 5 different people who purchase Win Smart Nodes? Is it one person who purchases 5, or can it be a blend? Sell 5 Win Smart Nodes, okay? It can be any combination thereof, whether it's one person who buys 5 separate people, or a blend. Any of that is fine. You do those things right there and you become an influencer, and that's when your potential to earn rewards increases. So there's 2 primary types of rewards that we're going to talk about, okay? First of all is direct rewards. You can see right here on the left. Secondly is node support rewards. You'll notice the direct rewards account for 40% of the rewards that are distributed, and the node support rewards account for 60% of the rewards that are distributed, okay? Now, one important thing to understand, I've talked a lot about the Win blockchain and the Win node and Win Smart Node, but that's not the only node that someone can purchase through Connect, okay? If you're a Connect community member, you can purchase several different nodes through the Connect marketplace. And these are the ones that you can purchase at the date of this recording. Now, I want you to notice something important here. When a purchase transaction is complete, up to 50% is distributed to contributing blockchain projects. And you can see the breakdown here on the screen. So once the Win blockchain is live, what's going to happen is when someone purchases a node, 50% would go to, like let's use Switch as an example. That's one of our contributing blockchain projects that's here on the screen. 50% of that purchase transaction would go to Switch, and then 50% would go through the Win blockchain and be distributed accordingly to the rewards plan that we're discussing here, okay? Now, you'll notice Win says 100%. Well, why is that? Well, that's because it is the Win blockchain, right? And so that one will not need to split that with a contributing project. It is its own project. So it wouldn't be splitting it with itself. Therefore, 100% would be paid out and distributed according to the rewards plan, okay? I hope that makes sense. And that should be made more clear here as I give you some examples. So we're gonna hone in on the direct rewards right now. I know we're covering a lot of ground fast, but we're gonna focus on just the direct rewards right now. So first things first is a transaction reward, okay? And a transaction reward is a 10% reward that goes directly to the individual who personally sold a node. Or you invited someone to join Connect directly and they made a purchase, you would then get that 10% transaction reward. So to the previous slide we were just discussing, if they purchased one of the other brands like Switch, the example I used, then you would get 10% of 50% of that total purchase price, okay? If they purchased a Win node, you would get 10% of 100% of the purchase price. So just in case that last slide wasn't clear, hopefully now it is, okay? And so that is a transaction reward. That goes directly to the individual who sold that node, be that Smart Node, Light Node, or any combination thereof. Now, you have to be part of Start or own a Win Smart Node, an active Win Smart Node, in order to earn transaction rewards. Okay, that's an important distinction. That's important to understand. And just in case you're not sure what Start is something that you find right there in the Connect marketplace, and that is $100 up front, and that contains 4 Win Light Nodes. So you actually get 4 Win Light Nodes for your $100, and then that is $25 additionally every month, and for that $25 a month, you get an additional Win Light Node each month, okay? So you're actually getting an exact value there for your money, but that is what Start is. And then of course, I think you're familiar with the Win Smart Node. And that's what you have to earn transaction rewards. The next step right here in the middle, confirmation rewards. Again, that's 10%, and you can see it's right there on the screen. 10% confirmation reward is distributed to the next qualified Win Smart Node in the blockchain, okay? And so in order to qualify for confirmation rewards, you have to have one active Win Smart Node. That's confirmation reward. So the first one was like if I personally sold a node, I would earn the transaction reward. The confirmation reward would be if I invited someone into the Connect community and then they personally sold the node. They would earn the transaction reward, but in that example, I would earn the confirmation reward. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, the next step here is block rewards, and you'll see that's 20%. So block rewards are paid out to qualified influencers. These are only ever distributed to influencers, okay? And up to 2 qualified influencers may earn a 10% block reward each on any given transaction, okay? And so that's how those work right there. And I'm actually gonna break those down a little bit more clearly here as we go forward on this example. So this is just an example of maybe what could happen to hopefully bring this to life and make sure it's really clear for you, okay? So in our example here, Jennifer is a qualified influencer, and Jennifer invites Mike into the community. Now you'll notice Mike is not a qualified influencer. Mike is brand new. He was just invited in. He has not yet taken the steps necessary to qualify as an influencer. But Mike buys a Win Smart Node in our example. You can see the $2,000 purchase price. And again, once the blockchain is live here, what you'll see is $2,000 will be distributed to the Win blockchain and then distributed accordingly through this rewards plan. So the full $10,000 goes through the Win blockchain is the point I'm making there. But Mike then invites Susan into the community as well. So remember, as we go back, we talked about the main chain and the friend chain, right? Well, right now, this is a friend chain example, okay? And so Susan buys some nodes. And you'll notice she buys a few different brands. She buys multiple things, and she spends $12,000. Now, if you're familiar with our different blockchain brands here and the different nodes that we have, you know that at the date of this recording, that breakdown doesn't seem like $12,000 because the pricing is different. So we just used a generic number for a simple example because the pricing is always increasing and changing, and this would be outdated almost immediately. So we used kind of a generic number there just for the sake of an example, okay? So don't get hung up on that if you're familiar with it and you think the number's wrong. It's purely an example, okay? And so for $12,000, what you'll see here is there's a $6,000 distribution to the Win blockchain. Again, that's those contributing projects. 50% goes to those projects. 50% would then go to Win, okay? And so that 6,000 is what all those different rewards will be based off of. The transaction, confirmation, and block rewards, they're based on the $6,000 number, not the $12,000 number. And it might seem like I'm overemphasizing that, but I get questions about that a lot. And so I want to make sure that's really clear because I know everyone's always trying to calculate things in their head. And if you don't understand that, everything you ever calculate will be wrong, okay? So hopefully that's clear by now. So we see the transactions. Let's see the rewards, okay? And let's just go down the right side over there. Well, Jennifer, she would earn a $200 transaction reward. Okay, well, where did that come from? Well, remember, a transaction reward is the direct reward when you personally sell a node. So that $200 would be the 10% transaction reward on Mike purchasing a $2,000 Win Smart Node. That's where that came from. But then Jennifer also earned a confirmation reward, and you can't earn a confirmation reward off of a personal sale. So where did that come from? Well, that 10% confirmation reward was when Mike sold Susan $12,000 worth of nodes. Again, it's based on the 6,000. That is 10% of that transaction right there in the form of a confirmation reward. And then a block reward. Remember, Jennifer is a qualified influencer, right? So she is qualified to earn block rewards. She earned a $200 block reward, and she earned that when she sold Mike a $2,000 Win Smart Node directly, okay? Because once you become a qualified influencer, from that moment on, whenever you personally sell a node, you earn the 10% transaction reward and you earn the 10% block reward, okay? That's a big deal. That's a big part of why I said once you become an influencer, it kind of gives you the keys to the kingdom because it doubles those rewards that you earn on any personal transactions. That's a big deal. So that is where that block reward came from for Jennifer. Now, Mike, remember, brand new, he's not a qualified influencer yet. You'll notice he did not earn a block reward. He also did not earn a confirmation reward because so far the only transaction that's happened within Mike's friend chain is Susan, who he personally invited. She purchased some nodes. So that's a direct transaction for Mike. Mike therefore earned the 10% transaction reward, 10% of 6,000 is $600. And there you go. So hopefully that brings it to life and lets you kind of wrap your head around a little bit better. Where do these rewards come from? What do they look like in a real life example, right? Because it's one thing to just see the percentages on a screen, but it's another when you think about your actual friend chain, the actual people participating with these projects and what that turns out to be. So hopefully that helps. Now, here's one thing that's really cool is everything you do here within the Win blockchain is contributing to your complete win score, okay? And so earlier I showed you that slide of you and your actions tethered to the proof system of the blockchain, right? And that makes up the proof of action protocol that will be running on the Win blockchain. Well, those actions are right here. It's these 10 actions. And I'm not gonna go through every one of them, they're on the screen, but I do wanna touch on one thing. I mentioned we were gonna come back around to it. You'll notice there are points for friend chain actions as well as blockchain actions. So you actually have the opportunity to earn points off of the activities of both your personal friend chain, but also the entire Win blockchain. That is an incredible distinction, especially when you remember it's a blockchain. It's all sequential, right? So there will be actions taken by people participating in the Win blockchain that started participating with it after you, and you're able to earn blockchain points right here that contribute to your complete win score because of those actions and because you become before them in the friend chain, or excuse me, in the blockchain, right? And so that's a pretty incredible distinction when you understand that you actually earn points off of both. Now, that leads us right into the node support rewards because this is what those points are really all for right here. That complete win score ranks you every single day. Okay, it is a daily score, a daily ranking with everyone participating in the Win blockchain. Okay, it ranks you accordingly, and I should clarify that. That's everyone who is an influencer. You do have to be an influencer to earn node support rewards. Okay, that's an important point of clarification. I'm glad I caught that. But every influencer, you're being ranked accordingly every single day based on that complete win score that is made up with those action points. Okay. And so what happens here, and I'm just going to go right through it because I think it's important that we take the time to understand, okay, is 50% of the node support rewards go to node and blockchain development. Okay, so that goes to the development that helps keep all these things running. And then 25% go to influencers simply for running their node, okay? Just for running their Win Smart node, those influencers get that 25%. And then the other 25% is distributed accordingly to these proof of action reward blocks. Now you might notice the Ethereum logo, and that's because at this time, all nodes purchased through the Connect Marketplace are purchased in Ethereum. So as long as nodes are purchased in Ethereum, then these rewards will be paid in Ethereum, okay? So that's where that comes from in case you're curious. But you'll notice on these proof of action reward blocks, there are 4 different blocks, right? And you may notice that they have all these numbers on them. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I'm going to read you one because they all work the same way. So I'm just going to read you this first one. The top 50 influencers share a distribution of 25% based on their complete win score. Okay? So if you're ranked, remember it's a daily ranking, so it can fluctuate day to day. But if you're ranked in the top 50 for that day, then you share in a 25% distribution with everyone who's in the top 50. Now, one important thing to understand, because I get this question a lot, is a lot of people think that wherever your highest ranking block is, you would only earn the proportional reward out of that block. That's actually not the way it works. If you're in the top 50, well, you're still in the top 50 within the top 500. And so if you were in the top 50 on any given day, you would actually earn your proportionate distribution out of all 4 blocks. Now, obviously, let's say you're in the top 5,000, but not the top 500 or top 50. You would then earn your distribution out of the top 5,000 block and the top 50,000 block. So hopefully that makes sense. It is a really cool concept, especially, the more you understand it, the more you wrap your head around it and the complete win score, and you look at that, you realize that the rewards here could be very exciting. Now, this works very similarly right here, and this is the daily win distribution once the blockchain is live, and it's pretty much the same formula. You'll notice right here, 50% goes to Win node operators. Okay, so that part's a little bit different. This is anyone who purchases and activates a win node, 50% of this daily win distribution is going to those individuals. But the other 50%, this is where it works very similarly. It goes to these proof of action reward blocks. And again, this is paid to influencers only. And you can see it's the exact same system on the top 50, 500, 5,000, and 50,000. That is the exact same system right there, okay? So as we look at this, let me tell you that last slide in a different way once you really understand this whole program, okay? So the distribution going to all node owners. So that tends to decrease over time for two main reasons. First of all, there is a finite supply of win that will be distributed, right? And so over time, that is less and less. There are halvings that take place where as the years go on, less win is distributed. Also, if more people purchase and run win nodes, well, you have the same amount being distributed on an ongoing basis, but being distributed to more people. And so that would also cause this to decline over time. But when you understand what I was just showing you with those reward blocks and your complete win score that you can start earning as an influencer, you have the ability to actually increase your win distribution over time as it relates to this half of the distribution. So the half that's going to the node operators, that is that decreasing line. But this half through these reward blocks, that should be increasing over time if you and your friend chain are doing the right things, taking the right kind of actions in order to be contributing to your complete win score, okay? And so that's really exciting once you understand it. I hope this clarified some things. I hope now you have a better understanding than you did of this entire rewards plan. I'll tell you this, most people, myself very much included, don't understand everything right up front. You know, most people have to hear this several times before every single piece really clicks. You kind of pick up a few pieces each time, and then next thing you know, you have the total picture and it makes sense. But what I would tell you is this: if you want to maximize your rewards potential through the Win blockchain, go become an influencer, right? Go become an influencer. That's what allows you to maximize your potential. And then you can go hopefully earn a lot of rewards and have an incredible experience with the Win blockchain.